好的，大家晚上好，欢迎大家准时来到我们的园林开放日直播间，我是今晚的主持人月游，很高兴又和大家在周二的晚上见面了。在本期的园林开放日呢，我们迎来了一个非常特别的 NFT 项目，那就是来自日本的 UniCask，他们的 NFT 呢是结合了 Whisky 的酒文化，依托于日本民间浓郁的酒文化，UniCask 几乎是自带流量出道啊。在他们的项目中，用户可以购买全世界各地酿酒厂生产的不同型号、不同年份、不同样式的 whisky 的酒桶 NFT。Hello everyone, welcome to our first open day. I'm tonight's host Koana, and I'm happy to see you on again on Tuesday night. At this first open day, we welcome a very special NFT project that is UniCask from Japan. That NFT is combined with the whisker control, relies on the strong Japanese folk wine control. UniCask is almost its own flow debut, and UniCask users can purchase NFT batteries of different sizes, vintages, and styles from distilleries around the world. 好的，那话不多说，接下来就有请 UniCask 的联合创始人 Chris 来给我们介绍一下这个特别的项目。Okay, so without further ado, let's welcome Chris, co-founder of UniCask, to tell us about this particular project.
Thank you for your introduction. My name is Chris Dai, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of UniCask and ANGO, the two projects that I'm going to talk about today. We are from Japan, and through these two projects, we hope that we can utilize NFT and DAO to capture the value of time and space. And how we do that? Well, let's go into our project details. So initially, a little bit about myself. We started this project, well, the company itself was started in 2018, and the UniCask project was started later of 2019. And when we started UniCask, we really thought about what are we going to use blockchain and NFT for. So one thing that was difficult for us was because of the regulatory issues in Japan, we weren't able to do cryptocurrency in Japan. So we thought we want to utilize NFT to actually do a project that link with physical asset. And the first project that came to mind was actually UniCask. And since I personally have worked with the Japanese Ministry of Industry and also their research team for blockchain, and also multiple other research institutions. So it was naturally one direction was to work with the industries. Well, but why we actually had to do blockchain, I think many of you want to ask. Well, one thing was that we realized from 2020 and 2022, the average time spent on digital space has been steadily increasing, and it will increase further. And the physical to digital world shift is something that is not as a future phenomenon, but it's currently happening right now. So how do we make value in the digital world is a question that everyone tries to answer. And our answer is actually, we have to work with the essence or the origin of value. And we believe that's human desires. And I think you've seen the Maslow's law or his proposal for the levels of human needs and desires, starting with the basic physiological needs with food and shelter. And then we have safety needs with employment, health, and property. And as we go higher up in the needs, the actually value it goes up too, because we value higher needs with higher price tags and values. And we believe the lower two layers of our human needs can be fulfilled in the physical world. However, when in the digital world, we think about creating value, we have to look at the upper three layers of needs, which are love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. I think this is where, as we shift from the physical world to the digital world, this is where we can utilize NFTs and the blockchain to monetize. And one of the product, of course, is our UniCask. Well, unlike a lot of the NFTs that's based on a purely digital world, where the contents, whether it be a digital piece of land or it's a profile picture that people can put on their Twitter, a lot of these NFTs initially started as purely digital, and their art form are also digital. So they're kind of enclosed in the digital world. However, we're thinking about something that maybe we can link in the physical world, but that's something, because our shift from the physical world to the digital world, that something needs to be redefined in the digital world in a different way, and the value will be captured by NFTs. And when we're looking, and it turns out that whiskey casks, strangely, whiskey casks, whiskey stored inside the casks became an interesting target. The reason are multiple, actually. First is we are looking at something that can increase value in time as the holder of the NFT holds it. So interesting with whiskey casks, the whiskey inside the cask starts aging. So you see in whiskeys that says 10 or 20 years. That's usually the time that whiskey is inside the cask. So the longer it is, the more valuable it is to be considered, and the higher price it fetches in the marketplace. So in essence, we thought, well, if the whiskey is being stored inside the cask, and if the NFT can represent a portion of the whiskey stored inside the cask, then the value of it as time goes by will increase. So that's what we talk about. We capture the value of time, and there are a few things in the world that actually captures the value of time, that actually goes up in value with time goes by. And even gold, we consider to be a fairly good store of value, doesn't go up just time goes by. In fact, it only goes up when their inflation is up. So there are very few items like that, and whiskey is one of them. So by doing so, we thought this could revolutionize the entire whiskey industry, as most of you know that you buy whiskey actually from usually not the distillery in the cask form, but actually from a liquor store in the form of bottles, a glass bottle. But you may not know that if the whiskey is stored inside the glass bottle, it doesn't actually age. So a 12-year-old, let's say Japanese whiskey, Yamazaki, will be still the same Yamazaki, no matter how long you store it. So by storing it in the cask, we're actually helping both sides. We're helping the distillery to sell the whiskey at a very early stage. So before, maybe they had to store 10, 12 years to actually make good whiskey and finally be able to bottle it and sell it. And that's a lot of time for the whiskey distilleries to hold their inventory. And by working with us, they're actually able to sell their whiskey in the cask form to many individuals. And at moments they fill the cask, they're able to sell. So that actually take away a lot of their inventory pressure. And from the owner, the holder, the user point of view, before they had to buy the 10, 12, 20-year-old whiskey inside the bottle, which turns out to be fairly expensive for some of the popular whiskey brands, and also fairly small supply. So what they do is by purchasing it from our whiskey NFT from us, then they in essence are holding the whiskeys, and then while they're holding it, they can let it age, and that will increase in value. And while they're holding it, they're of course free to sell and buy from other people. And this actually has created liquidity that we have never seen before in this industry. And we believe this is actually a very interesting way that we can work with already existing markets, already existing industry, but that has not been put onto Web3. And we believe similar cases can be applied to many other industries. And in this case, whiskey in particular will capture the value of time. And that value of time is represented inside the value of an NFT. And that value of NFT, of course, will hopefully go up as time goes by, and then will generate good returns for the holder. And why we think of this is because in the digital world today, without NFTs, this business is very difficult. As you already know, with the Web2 world, the goods that's built from data, of course, digital world, so the goods to built from data is not unique, and then it cannot be owned. But with blockchain NFT, this is a solved problem, basically. And with that problem solved, in the digital world, we can do businesses just like what we do with UniCask, that's able to transact digital items or digital items that is linked to physical ownership of physical items can be traded freely, just like we do in the physical world. And this, we don't have to go through NFTs to actually talk about what NFT is. So I assume that many of you already know what NFT is, so I'll skip this. So, go back to how we work with the whiskey NFTs. As you can see in this diagram, we work closely with distillery. So distillery work with UniCask, and the UniCask will sell to users the NFTs that will represent the ownership of 1/100th of a cask. So usually a cask is like 200, 250 liters. So 1/100th of a share is usually about 2 to 2.5 liters. But interestingly, there is something called angel share. So the whiskey will evaporate as time goes by, usually about 2% per year. So it will evaporate. So, but whatever that evaporates, what's left inside the whiskey cask, and then we divide it by 100 is the whiskey NFT holders share. So by that, the NFT holders are able to sell the whiskey by just selling the NFTs on the open marketplace like OpenSea. And anyone can buy and purchase that. So by the time that we have a maturity date, usually that's set 10 or 20 years from the whiskey cask NFT sale, then the user who holds the whiskey NFT can come back to us to redeem his or her own share of the whiskey, and we'll bottle it and give it to them as long as they present us with the original whiskey cask NFT. So this cask NFT, as you may know, is not able to be faked digitally, and the supply is of course limited, and it can be authenticated easily, and those are all properties of NFTs. And with these properties, basically we can be sure, and also the users can be sure, this marketplace will be very efficient, will be real, and there will be won't be any scams, and we can actually give our product to the real owner. So in the whiskey NFTs, we're really recording the value of time, and the value of time actually is captured in NFT, so that the time goes by, the NFT itself will go up in price. And this is especially good if you consider right now the market is at its lowest, and many people are dumping their NFTs. But for a lot of our holders, there's no reason to, because the underlying value of the NFTs is supported by the value of the whiskey. So even in a bear market like this, we're very strong in terms of keeping our price. And also, the NFTs act as a packaging that keeps track of all the information of the cask, so that information will not be lost. As you may know, that a lot of antiques will have their boxes, and the boxes will have the traceability of from who transfers when, and what this antique piece is about. So a lot of that will be written in the box, a wooden box, and the NFT actually acts sort of like that, and it actually provides that information to everybody, and that information cannot be modified, and then it cannot be faked. And this is very useful to for individual holders to know like what whiskey cask NFTs are holding. And of course, aside from the actual value of the whiskey, also we're trying to make the holders community fun to join. And by doing that, we actually, of course, have our whiskey Discord, so people can, of course, chat in the community. And of course, we have divided the whiskey into 1/100th of ownership, so that people can easily buy it. Unlike before, they had to buy the full cask. So now they can easily buy it, and they can easily sell it. So that generates a lot of interest and hype. And then also we have a game that's going on for our holders, that basically the winners can win samples from the whiskey casks they bought. But normally, they wouldn't be able to drink it till the maturity date. But with the gamification, they're actually winning in the games. Then they can get more samples from the whiskey cask that they own. And a lot of people ask me about the value of UniCask and its NFTs. I'd say a lot of it is, of course, similar to the contents NFTs, the PFPs, and so on, the art NFTs and so on. But one big difference is the whiskey market value. That is priced into our whiskey NFTs, and that's why we have a price support even in this bear market. And we actually work with several artists as well, not just using our own whiskey NFT characters on the left, which we sold last year in December. So the cask was Springbank 1991, and it was a 30-year-old whiskey cask already. And we sold 100 NFTs, and each NFTs is about 400,000 JPY yen. That right now, the yen has dropped significantly. So right now it's only about 2,000, 2,500-ish US dollars. So we sold that 100. So converting to US dollars, it's 250,000 US dollars in about 9 minutes. And then after that, we started collaborating with some of the Japanese NFT artists. And you can see on the right side, this is one NFT art project called the Metani. They're a metaverse IP created in Japan. So we co-created our whiskey cask NFTs with them by putting their artwork on our whiskey cask labels, or digital labels. Cask actually doesn't have a label, but digital labels. And so people who own it will have the pictures of the artwork as well. And this one actually sold about less than 500 US dollars, and it was quickly sold in just 1 hour. So that was another example. So we keep working with collaborating with artists, so that not only we're reaching to whiskey lovers, but also to people who not had experience with whiskey, but would love to learn more about Web3, about art, about NFTs, and those communities are also interested in partnering with us to utilize the Whiskey NFTs underlying value to create their own NFTs. And we're actively looking for collaborations, and then we're extending our collaborations as well. And this is another utility that our Whiskey NFT holds. As you can see, this place has lots of whiskey bottles and whiskey samples. In fact, we have whiskey samples from over 3,200 whiskey casks. And the individuals that we can invite, usually only 4 or 6 people at a time, are our holders. And we invite our holders to come to our tasting room. This is called UniCask Origin. And this is bottles. Yes. So this is a wonderful place for whiskey lovers because at least in Japan, I know of no other place that has as many samples and whiskey that they can taste and find their love for whiskey. And a lot of our whiskey holders love this idea, and they come not just to our holders events, but through our invitations and come experience whiskeys they've never had before. So that's another utility.
ユニキャスクは Web3.0 を使い、
And
デジタルの世界とお酒
well,
を
this
再
is
定義しようと
Japanese,
しています。
so I'll
単なる
go through the
EC で
whole
取
thing.
引される
Let's go next page. So we're constantly thinking about how to add values to our whiskey NFTs because what we are is we are valuing the community itself, and we believe the community is of the largest value to us and also to the NFT holders. And how to generate value within the community? You know, our answer is, well, we're going to start a DAO. I know a lot of people have started DAOs on in this world with Web3 and a smart contract, but this DAO is a little different. I mean, in essence, it's not a perfect DAO governed by smart contract. Because we actually have to deal with the physical world, our DAO, of course, has some smart contract to govern it, but will mostly be off-chain, and it will rely on people running it. And what we do with our DAO is that we create a new whiskey brand that together as a DAO will own that whiskey brand. And actually the whiskey brand is called NFT, and we were lucky to be able to have registered it in 2019, and now we can use it in Japan. And then so our whiskey brand is called NFT, and this brand we're gonna choose what kind of cask that we're gonna use to bottle that whiskey, and what kind of bottle shape that we're gonna use for that whiskey, and also the label. You know, it's very important. Label, like what kind of artists that we can collaborate with to create the labels. So all of that we determine it within our community, and we actually sell that whiskey bottle. Actually, this time it's a real bottle because it's not as an NFT, but a real bottle. We sell that whiskey bottle to department stores, to high-end bars, and people who are involved in our community, who are holders, of course, will have their names recorded on the blockchain and through a QR code on the bottle label, and people can see who are involved. So they take this bottle almost as if it's their own bottle, their own brand, their own creation, and they can introduce their friends and they can brag about it, and it's very fun. And we also try to work with different Web3 communities to offer our whiskey in their events, so that it will further help to promote our whiskey DAO physical bottle whiskey. And what's the in it, you know, for the whiskey NFT holders or DAO members? Well, the DAO members actually, the more we sell the whiskey bottles, a good portion of it would take it out to distribute to the community members who help with the promotion, with the creation of the whiskey. So we give it out for free, the whiskeys. So this way, we sell the whiskeys. The portion that gets sold are coming in as revenue, and then to help us create the next batch of whiskey bottles. And then the profit, we actually virtually take no profit. So the profit will be distributed in the form of whiskeys to our DAO members. So that's what we do. Actually, what is a DAO? I guess everyone knows about it. I'll just skip on this. And with that information given, I think the Whiskey DAO will be starting in the, well, we're going to start selling the bottles in the beginning of 2023. So right now, the bottles are being filled in Scotland. And then in December, it will be transported to Japan. We're going to start selling in January of 2023. So if you're interested, please first get our whiskey NFTs and join our DAO. This is how, or the only way you can join our DAO is by purchasing a whiskey NFT. And that whiskey NFT is probably on sale in December of this year. And we'll be announcing it. So if you're interested, please do visit our site. We have a waiting list starting there, so you can register your email and first create accounts. Then we know we'll notify you when we have our new batch of whiskey NFTs coming up. So that is the overall project for UniCask. And that is a project that we say it best captures the value of time. As I go back a little bit, is the time value captured in the aging of whiskey, which increases the value of whiskey, which in turn increases the value of the NFTs that can be redeemed, that can redeem the whiskeys 10 years or 20 years from now. So the NFT value is backed up by the whiskey that's stored inside the cask. And that is what whiskey NFT is about. And of course, with this community, we are creating a DAO that will sell a new brand of whiskey. And with that, the profits will come in the form of free whiskeys for the DAO member. So it even better generates the interactions between DAO members or the NFT holders, and then to expand our community further and to create bigger value. So that's UniCask. And the other project that we started of last year, and we're selling it the end of this year, is a project that captures the value of space. So, we start with time, and then we start with space. So what is that about? First, I'll show you a video of the introduction of our project, ANGO. Okay. So we are sorry for that. The subtitles are all in Japanese. So we basically created a 3D digital house. And the 3D digital house, as in like this, people can have their NFTs hosted, can have their house arranged with all the NFTs that they love. And there is probably nothing new. Yeah, a lot of projects actually does that. But what unique about ANGO is that not only the individuals can place their NFTs inside the metaverse house or the 3D house, they can actually have the right to a physical house that looks almost exactly the same as their digital house. Well, we actually created that in the physical world. And they are able to stay in that physical house for a period of time, depending what kind of NFTs that they have. And plus, in the physical house, we'll have the screens on the wall. That's similar to how NFTs are displayed in the digital house. And on those screens, it's actually, if you put your own NFTs in the digital house, the digital house's NFT will be displayed in the physical house. So they're kind of displaying the same thing. And that's kind of interesting by linking the digital house display of NFTs and the physical house display of NFTs. So when you go and stay there, it's almost like you're living inside in your digital house, but actually it's the physical house. So the portion with digital house and physical house is very unique. I think it's one of the first projects globally to do this. And also by making this project sustainable, we are renting out the physical house or portion of the physical house's time as a vacation rental. So this way, the vacation rental will generate cash flow from people who are not holders of the NFTs of ANGO, but just average normal people who wants to stay in a villa like the ones I've shown. Then they will pay actually to stay, and that money actually goes in to pay for the maintenance cost, the running cost of the physical house. The digital house doesn't need cost, but the physical house should be able to maintain and keep it. It needs keep running and needs cash flow. So that cash flow actually is generated from renting it out, the physical house, as a vacation rental. And why are we talking about vacation rental DAO? I mean, it says DAO, right? That's because we're not running it just as a corporation would do before. So we believe the physical house, although it would be difficult to do registration for all the NFT members to physically own it, but we believe the NFT holders who are DAO members can vote on how to utilize and govern that cash flow from renting out of the physical rental house. So that way, well, if there is excess revenue, then the NFT holders collectively as a DAO can decide, whether they want to put a new treehouse or they want to purchase extra benefit for the holders, or they want to purchase extra land to add to the current space. So there are a lot of things that the holders of NFTs are able to do. And so that I've explained the holder benefits from the NFT holders' point of view. Basically, we can display the holders' NFTs in the digital house, in the digital real estate, and then the physically replicated physical real estate, the holders can visit and stay there as well. And then also they can, of course, join the holders only events and then participate in the DAO as well. It says property manager, but I mean, I lose good words to explain it. It's more like a governance for the property, so that any benefits that generates from the property, the NFT holders can take benefits from that as well through voting. So all that are able to do with our ANGO. And we believe by doing this, we want to prove that a business doesn't have to be run by a corporate entity. It may be able to be run by an entity such as a DAO that in itself may not generate or want to generate profit, but the main purpose is to distribute the value that it creates to the NFT holders or the DAO holders. And this project, we will start selling the first batch of NFTs in the whitelist the end of this year. And if you're interested, especially a lot of people from overseas are interested because the Japanese property market is booming right now, and the yen as it is very cheap. So people are looking for ways to invest into the Japanese property market. Well, of course, this is not exactly the same as purchasing a physical house in Japan, but it does capture a portion of the values of the property in Japan, and it offers a very simple way for individuals to own a portion of the digital house and the rights to access the physical house. So we believe that with those values, the NFT value and the price will be very stable. If not, we think will go up. But that could be fluctuating. But in the end, what's good about purchasing NFTs that link with physical assets is that in the end, even if you don't sell it at a higher price in the public market, you're always able to get the utility from the physical asset, which is the physical properties that you're able to utilize, or the UniCask whiskey that later on you're able to receive in the physical bottles. So our structure in the end with the ANGO DAO is really aiming for a business that cater to the community of holders and also run by the holders, and also this profit or its revenues will be used for the holders. So with these in mind, we're actively engaging with real estate property holders in Japan and also in overseas, and then we want to partner with them. And also we want to partner with businesses that has communities, has contents. Then we can work with them as well to host events inside our physical properties in Japan. And overall, when people ask me, what's the value of NFTs, and especially physical asset related NFTs, I give them this picture. So a lot of people are questionable about this idea of physical asset linked NFTs because there are securities that securitize a physical asset. So there are whiskey funds that people can purchase, and there are REITs that people can purchase to take a share or take a share to own a share of a property. So, and those are very mature markets. Why are you in this? So we believe in our tokenization of physical assets, we're not only offering liquidity. If we're only offering liquidity, I mean, securitization is good enough. But we believe the liquidity plus fulfillment of desires, and what we mean by fulfillment of desires is, so you want to brag about your ownership of very rare whiskey, and you want to brag about your own bottle of whiskey that you created with your community, and you want to brag about your digital house that you're able to display your NFTs, and then you can stay there during the vacation. And all of that, I think, fulfills human desires, and all that is something that you normally don't get by owning a piece of whiskey fund or some shares of the REITs. Those you don't really brag about. So we believe, in essence, those are the differences that we see to utilize NFTs and DAO to tokenize physical assets. So thank you very much for your time today. And I hope you will have a lot of questions that I'll probably not answer right now. But if you're interested, please follow our SNS Twitter. And you can also reach out directly to us and join our Discord to ask your questions. So thank you very much for listening to our project. Bye-bye.
好的，非常感谢 Chris 的精彩分享，相信大家听完本期的内容，对于 NFT 一定有了更深的理解。如果你刚好也是一个资深的 Whisky 的爱好者，不妨来 UniCask 体验一下 Whisky 与 NFT 的奇妙结合。那本期的原力开放日呢，就到这里了，我们下周二晚的7点同一时间不见不散。Well, thank you very much, Chris, for your wonderful sharing. I believe you have a deep understanding of NFT after listening to this episode. If you happen to be a vintage whiskey lover, please come to UniCask to experience the wonderful combination of whiskey and NFT. So that's everything about today. I hope you all enjoyed, and we will see you guys the same time next Tuesday. See ya. Bye bye.